The fear of regulars across the galaxy, the word human carried weight. It was not just a name of a species, it was a warning. For centuries, alien empires had measured power by fleets, weapons, and numbers. But when humans entered the galactic stage, those old measures became useless. Every council chamber, every military command room whispered the same thing. If regular humans, just regular soldiers, were enough to terrify whole star systems, then what else were they hiding? The galaxy already feared the ordinary, and yet no one had seen the extraordinary. On the battlefield of Drenarth 4, alien commanders prepared their troops. They thought victory was certain. The enemy was small in number, just one human regiment. The Drenari Empire had 20,000 soldiers, armored in crystal plating, and equipped with plasma cannons. The human force had only 2,000 men and women, armed with rifles, body armor, and discipline. The alien commander laughed at the report. 2,000 humans against us? This will be easy, he said. But when dawn broke, it was not the Drenari banners that flew. It was the human flag planted in the center of the battlefield. The Drenari army had broken, scattered, and run, not because of weapons, not because of numbers, but because of fear. Regular humans fought with something the galaxy could not explain. They did not retreat even when outnumbered. They did not surrender even when surrounded. They fought with precision, covering each other, moving. Like one body with one mind, every shot counted, every strike had purpose. Aliens used to wars of chaos and intimidation could not understand it. To them, it looked like madness. To humans, it was simply training. Whispers spread after the battle. Do not face humans on the ground, one alien officer warned. Fight them in the stars. Fight them from a distance, but never let their boots touch your soil. But even those warnings came too late, because wherever humans marched, the ground itself seemed to betray their enemies. On Vornak Prime, a mining colony turned battlefield. Alien troops fortified deep bunkers. They thought humans would break against their defenses. Instead, humans used patience. They cut supplies, dug trenches, and waited. 3 weeks later, the mighty bunkers opened from the inside. Hungry and desperate, alien soldiers surrendered to humans who never even fired. A single heavy cannon. It was the same story repeated across countless worlds, on frozen moons, on desert planets, in cities floating above gas giants. The galaxy saw human regulars turn impossible wars into victories, and each time, the aliens asked the same question. If their regulars fight like this, what happens when they send their best? The Council of 9 Races gathered in secrecy. They showed recordings of human battles, grainy footage of soldiers advancing through fire, carrying wounded comrades, refusing to fall even when struck. The alien leaders debated in fear. This is not natural, said the voice of the Krail Dominion. No species should fight this way. It is not their weapons, argued the Zorak admiral. We scanned them. Simple rifles, simple armor, no great technology. Then what is it? Demanded the Verhai Chancellor. A long silence followed. Finally, one elder whispered, It is not their weapons. It is not their numbers. It is them, the humans themselves. The council chambers fell into dread, because if regular humans already carried this much terror, then the galaxy could not imagine what special might mean. Back on Earth, soldiers trained in silence, ordinary men and women waking before dawn, running miles, carrying weight, learning discipline. They were not invincible. They were not immortal. But they were human, and to the galaxy that word had already become a nightmare. The fear of regulars spread like fire. Alien children were told bedtime warnings. If you see a human soldier, run. Alien commanders ordered their troops. If you must face humans, face them from the skies. Never let them close. But even the skies were no longer safe, because wherever humans marched, victory followed. And still, the galaxy did not know the truth. They had only seen Earth's regulars. They had only faced the ordinary. The extraordinary was still hidden, waiting, watching, training. And when the day came that humanity unleashed them, The galaxy would remember this truth. If regular soldiers were enough to break empires, then the galaxy was not ready for the special forces, the first whisper of special forces. The galaxy thought it had seen the worst of humanity. They believed regular soldiers were the true terror of Earth. But then came the whispers, soft and dangerous, of something more. Something hidden. Something the galaxy was never meant to see. It began with a scout ship from the Kral Dominion, a small vessel patrolling the border near a quiet system. The crew expected nothing but empty stars. Yet they stumbled upon the wreckage of an entire fortress world. No warning, no distress call, no survivors. The stronghold had been erased in silence. At first, the Kral commander believed it was some kind of natural disaster, a meteor strike or maybe a weapon test. But then the ship's sensors found strange patterns on the surface. Tracks, small, precise, and human. The fortress had not fallen to an army. It had fallen to a handful of shadows. The crew downloaded fragments of footage left in damaged security systems. The images chilled them more than any battlefield ever could. Figures moved through the base unseen. They wore no bright banners, no heavy armor, no flashy weapons. They blended with the dark, slipping past cameras, cutting power, silencing guards. One by one, entire defense lines vanished without a single alarm. The aliens watched in silence as one human appeared on screen. He carried no rank symbol, no badge, only the look of focus and purpose. His squad moved with him, swift and soundless. No words spoken, only hand signals and trust. In less than an hour, the fortress was finished. 20,000 soldiers lost to a group no larger than 30. The scout ship fled with the recording, terrified of what they had witnessed. When the evidence reached the Galactic Council, chaos erupted. "This is impossible," shouted one admiral. "No squad could destroy a fortress like that." Yet the footage could not lie. The council tried to calm their fear. They told themselves this was just an accident, a one-time event, a lucky strike. But then it happened again. Another colony silenced, another army erased. And again, the EO. Same shadowy figures seen for only seconds before the footage cut to black. The galaxy began to name them. Some called them phantoms, others ghosts of Earth. But humans had their own word, a name that carried weight even on their own world. They called them special forces. The aliens did not understand the meaning. They thought these humans were machines or experiments or perhaps genetically altered. But they were wrong. These were men and women chosen not for size or strength, but for discipline, patience, and willpower. They trained in silence, endured pain without complaint. They became the blade hidden within the shield. The council debated again. "How many of them are there?" one leader asked. No one could answer. "Are they human at all?" whispered another. And the silence in the chamber was louder than any answer. In the years that followed, more stories spread. A fleet of warships ambushed by special forces boarding. Parties. A governor's palace taken overnight with no blood spilled. An entire rebellion crushed before it even began. Each time, the same whispers grew louder. "Regular humans already terrified us," the aliens said. "But these are something else." The fear reached even the youngest of alien children. Parents warned them with new bedtime tales. "If you misbehave, the special forces will come for you." Merchants refused to sell near human-controlled. Space commanders begged their leaders never to provoke Earth again, but humanity said nothing. No official statements, no declarations, only silence. And silence was more terrifying than any threat, for the galaxy knew this much. If Earth's regular soldiers could shatter empires, then these shadows, their special forces, were made for something far greater, not to fight wars, but to end them before they ever began. The whispers grew, and the galaxy realized a truth too late. Humanity had only shown them the beginning. The special forces were not legends. They were real, and they were already here, watching from the dark. The experiment failed. The council could not accept what they saw. They had ruled the stars for thousands of years. No empire, no race, no alliance had ever been able to fight them as equals. But humans, with their ordinary soldiers, had already changed that balance, and now whispers of these special forces made them tremble even more. So the empires tried to copy them. If humans could create such units, then surely others could too. The Kral Dominion built training camps. They took their strongest warriors, gave them advanced weapons, and forced them into drills. The Zorak hives pushed their soldiers through endless simulations. The Ver Empire even used cruel genetic experiments. But none of it worked. The first squads marched proudly into battle. The council watched them with hope. But when they faced human troops, the illusion shattered. The alien special units were powerful, yes, but they were clumsy, reckless, and fragile. They could fight strong, but they could not fight smart. They were machines of muscle, not masters of the mind. One human general, watching a recording of the failed alien experiments, laughed softly. "They do not understand," he said. "It is not the weapon, not the training ground, not the armor. It is the will." That single word carried more weight than any weapon. The galaxy had tried to create shadows, but instead they had created puppets, and puppets could never become phantoms. Reports from the front lines painted the same story. Alien elite squads broke in days. They argued with each other, they disobeyed orders. When cornered, they begged for rescue instead of standing their ground. Special forces, on the other hand, vanished into the dark. They fought as one. Even when alone, and when their mission ended, they returned unseen, leaving only silence behind them. One story spread fast across the stars. The Ver Empire sent 100 of their perfect soldiers to capture a human outpost. They were armed with plasma blades and heavy armor. They stormed the base with screams and fire, but inside, waiting in silence, were 10 human special forces, 10 against 100. The fight lasted 7 minutes. When it ended, only the humans walked away, and not one of them carried a wound. That battle broke the Ver experiment forever. Their emperor asked in fury, "Why can we not make what they make?" His generals bowed their heads, and one old officer whispered, "Because they are not born, they are made, and we do not know how to make humans." Across the council chambers, fear turned into anger. They wanted answers. Some believed humans used forbidden technology. Others claimed Earth had ancient secrets hidden beneath their world. But the truth was simpler and far more terrifying. Humans did not need secrets. They only needed themselves. Special forces were men and women willing to endure what no alien ever could. Weeks without sleep, training in storms, climbing mountains with bleeding hands. They carried each other, trusted each other, never abandoned a comrade. Aliens could not understand this bond. For in their armies, soldiers obeyed out of fear. But in humanity's armies, soldiers obeyed out of loyalty, out of love for the ones. Beside them, the council sent spies to human training camps. The spies returned broken. One described seeing recruits crawl through mud while storms raged. Another saw a soldier carry his injured partner for miles without stopping. "Why?" the spy asked. "Why would you suffer for another when you can survive alone?" The human only smiled and answered, "Because alone I am nothing. Together, we are everything." That simple truth shattered the council. They realized no experiment, no machine, no lab could ever create what humans had. The galaxy could build stronger weapons. They could forge harder armor, but they could not build human will. And they could not copy the soul of special forces. By the time the experiments ended, the galaxy was more afraid than before. They had hoped to match humanity. Instead, they had proven their own weakness. If they could not even copy Earth's shadow warriors, then how could they ever hope to survive them? The council tried to hide their failures, but rumors spread faster than truth. Whispers of broken experiments, of alien soldiers crushed by human squads. The story became clear across every world. The galaxy had tried to make their own ghosts, but in the end, their shadows failed, and only humanity walked away, stronger. The silent battlefield, the galaxy had failed to copy humanity's shadows, but they still believed numbers could win. "If we cannot match them," said the Zorak High Admiral, "then we will drown them." So fleets gathered, armies assembled, and planets turned into fortresses. They prepared for war unlike anything before. And yet, when the fighting began, they discovered the most terrifying truth. Special forces did not fight like armies. They fought like hunters. On the neutral world of Tarvan, the Council staged their test. Millions of alien soldiers landed. The ground shook with war machines. Towers of steel rose into the sky. Their commanders were confident. "This time the humans will break," they said. But as night fell, the battlefield grew silent. The first alarms rang when the power grid failed, shields collapsed, lights went out, and entire camps were left in darkness. Then, one by one, alien officers vanished from their tents. No sound, no struggle, only empty chairs where leaders once sat. By dawn, whole battalions had disappeared, weapons stolen, communications cut. The army had come prepared for war. Instead, they faced an enemy that refused to fight on their terms. The survivors whispered in fear. "They are not soldiers," said one trembling commander. "They are ghosts." Special forces slipped between patrols, struck at weak points and vanished again. They did not march in lines. They did not shout. They waited. They watched. They struck when it hurt most, and every strike left the aliens more broken than before. One alien scout told the story of his escape. He had been hiding in the ruins of a burned camp. Through the smoke he saw 3 humans move like shadows, their faces painted, their eyes sharp like blades. They passed so close he could hear their breathing, but they never looked at him. They had no interest in killing the weak. They were hunting leaders. They were cutting the head off the beast. By the second night, the alien army was in chaos. Units fired blindly into the dark, shooting at shadows that were never there. Paranoia spread faster than orders. Friends turned on each other. Commanders begged their fleets for evacuation. But before the ships could respond, human strike teams had already taken the landing zones. The army was trapped, not by numbers, not by walls, but by fear. The Council called for reinforcements, but the reinforcements never arrived. Instead, a human message echoed across every channel. "Leave Tarvan," the voice said, calm and certain. "This war is over." The aliens hesitated. They still outnumbered the humans 100 to 1, but their will was gone. And when will is broken, an army is already defeated. When the last alien transport fled into the stars, they left behind more than weapons and machines. They left behind the memory of silence. A silence filled not with peace but with dread. For the galaxy had seen its first true battlefield against special forces, and they realized this truth. These humans did not need to fight in daylight. They owned the night. They owned fear itself. Back in the council chambers, reports arrived one after another. Colonies lost without a single shot heard. Bases emptied with no alarms. Entire fleets crippled before they could even raise shields. The council leaders could not understand. "How can so few destroy so many?" they asked, and the answer came from a trembling survivor. "They do not fight wars," he said. "They end them before they start." From that day, the name Special Forces spread like fire. Not as soldiers, but as legends. Alien children whispered the name in terror. Alien officers refused to march at night, and alien generals prayed they would never again see the shadows move, because in Tarvan's silence, the galaxy had learned the lesson. Regular soldiers broke empires, but special forces erased them, and once humanity sent its hunters into the dark, no world was safe again. The Council's debate. The Council of 9 races gathered in the great chamber of Ver Prime. The air was heavy with fear, thicker than smoke after battle, for the reports from Tarvan had reached every empire, and the truth was undeniable. Human. Special forces had turned an army of millions into nothing but whispers. The chamber was built for strength. Marble floors, towering pillars, banners of empires that had ruled for centuries. Yet now those banners looked weak, as if they were cloth hanging above the fire. The council members sat in silence before the first voice dared to speak. "This cannot continue," hissed the Ver High Chancellor. "If we allow humans to act unchecked, our empires will fall." The Kral warlord slammed his claw against the table. Then we strike first, he growled. Burn Earth, erase their soldiers before they grow stronger. But not all agreed. The Zorak Hive Queen shook, her head slowly. You speak of burning Earth as if it were simple, but have you forgotten? We already fear their regulars. What chance do we have against the shadows that even their own armies cannot track? The room erupted into shouts. Some demanded extermination, some whispered of peace, and some sat silent, broken by the memory of battles lost before they even began. The council was not united. Fear divided them more than war ever could. Then a message was brought into the chamber, a survivor's report from Tarvin, the alien soldier who had seen special forces with his own eyes. His voice trembled as it echoed through the chamber. They do not fight like us, he said. They do not fight for land or gold or power. They fight with patience, with silence, with purpose. When they come, you do not see them until you are already finished. The chamber fell quiet. Every leader looked at one another, and then the most chilling part of the report was played. The human voice, calm, steady, echoing across alien radios. This war is over. The words carried no threat, no anger, only certainty. And that certainty frightened the galaxy more than any weapon ever could. The Vaer Chancellor tried to sound brave. Perhaps these special forces are rare, he said. Perhaps Earth has only a handful of them. But a new intelligence report was placed before him. Dozens of strikes across dozens of worlds, all the same pattern. Bases falling in silence, leaders vanishing, fleets crippled before battle. The Chancellor's face turned pale, because the truth was clear. The shadows were not rare. They were everywhere. The Kral warlord rose again, desperate. Then we must make peace, he said. Better to bend the knee than be broken in the dark. Others shouted at him in fury. No empire bends, no ruler kneels to pray. But deep down, they knew he was right. For what good were banners, fleets, and armies if humans could erase them in a single night? A smaller voice broke the chaos. The elder of the Drenari, once proud, now humbled, after losing entire armies to Earth's regulars. His words were quiet, but the chamber froze to hear them. You fear their shadows, he said. But do you not see the greater truth? If their regulars are this strong, if their special forces are this much stronger, then what else are they hiding? The thought struck every leader at once. If special forces were only the beginning, what came after them? Were their forces even darker, even deadlier, waiting in silence on Earth? The council felt a chill, for the galaxy had mocked humanity once, and now they realized. Perhaps humans had never truly revealed their strength. The debate ended in silence. No decision made, no plan agreed. Some wanted extermination, some wanted peace, but all shared the same fear, the fear of the unknown. For in every shadow of the galaxy, they now imagined human eyes watching, waiting, choosing their next battlefield. That night, when the chamber emptied, whispers ran through the halls, whispers of surrender, whispers of alliances, whispers of running from the inevitable, but the truth followed them like a ghost. Special forces did not whisper, they did not threaten, they simply acted. And when they acted, wars ended. The council had once feared humanity's regular soldiers, but now in the silence of the chamber, they admitted to themselves what they could never say aloud. The regulars had been the warning, the special forces were the truth, and the galaxy was not ready for that truth. A message to the stars. The galaxy had argued, the council had shouted, and armies had bled, but humanity remained silent. They did not rush to defend themselves, they did not boast of victories, they did not need to. Then, without warning, the silence broke. Every screen, every comm channel, every beacon in the galaxy flickered, from the highest throne world to the smallest mining colony. A human face appeared, calm, steady, unshaken. The figure wore no crown, no armor, no grand robes. He was dressed in the uniform of a soldier, not regular, not special, just human. And when he spoke, his voice was not loud, but it carried across the stars like thunder. You fear our soldiers, the human said. You fear our shadows. You fear what you do not understand. The chamber of the council froze. The message was not directed at one empire. It was directed at everyone. Billions listened in silence. You believe our regular troops are strong, the voice continued, and you are right. You have seen them fight with discipline. You have seen them refuse to surrender. You have seen them win against impossible odds. The alien leaders shifted uncomfortably. For every word was true, every scar they bore proved it. And then you learned of our special forces, the human said. You saw them strike in silence. You saw them end wars before they began. You saw them appear from the shadows and vanish, like ghosts. His eyes grew sharper. But you still do not understand. Special forces are not made to conquer. They are not made to enslave. They are not made to burn worlds. The galaxy held its breath. The voice grew heavier, like the weight of a blade placed on the neck of every empire. They are made for one purpose: to protect humanity, to protect our world, to protect our people from those who would seek to destroy us. The message shifted, showing images of humans training, running through storms, crawling through mud, carrying comrades on their backs, ordinary men and women who had endured pain and risen stronger. You look at our shadows and call them monsters, the human said. But they are not monsters. They are protectors. They are the ones we send when we must end war before it consumes everything. Alien leaders gritted their teeth, for the truth burned worse than any fire. If humanity chose to unleash these warriors, no empire could resist. But if humanity held them back, no empire could control them. The message grew quiet, and for a moment, the human simply stared into the camera, as if looking into the soul of every leader, every soldier, every frightened child across the stars. Do not mistake our silence for weakness, he said. Do not mistake our patience for surrender. Do not mistake our protection for permission. And then came the words that would be remembered for centuries. If our regular soldiers terrified you, then you should pray you never see the ones we send when everything is at stake. The message ended. Screens went dark. Comm channels cleared. Silence returned. But it was not the same silence as before. It was a silence filled with terror. In the council chamber, no one spoke. No one dared, because the galaxy had just been given a warning. Not a threat. Not a demand. A simple truth. The Zorak Hive Queen broke the silence first, her voice trembling. They could have threatened us, but they did not. They could have boasted, but they did not. They only told us the truth. The Kral warlord whispered, and the truth is worse than any threat. That night, across the stars, the message replayed in the minds of billions, ordinary citizens, soldiers, and leaders alike. The galaxy had feared human regulars. The galaxy had panicked at human special forces, but now they feared something else entirely. What would happen if humanity ever decided to stop protecting and start conquering? Legends in the dark, after the human message. The galaxy was never the same. No empire dared to test Earth again. No commander wished to gamble against shadows, because they knew if the special forces were unleashed, wars would not just be lost. They would vanish. Stories began to spread, carried on every starship, whispered in every port. Some were real, some were exaggerations, but all were terrifying. A mining fleet in the rim claimed their scanners picked up 30 human biosigns. By morning, an entire pirate armada was gone, not destroyed, not burning, simply gone. On the world of Koresh, a governor went to sleep under the protection of thousands of soldiers. By sunrise, his palace stood empty, his guards tied, his banners cut down. In their place was a single human mark carved into the stone. The governor was never seen again. The galaxy began to call them by many names: phantoms, ghosts of Earth, night stalkers. But the humans had no need for such names. To them, these men and women were simply special forces, and that was enough. Alien parents began to use their stories to frighten children into obedience. Go to sleep, they said, or the humans will come from the shadows. Commanders told their recruits never to face humans in close quarters. Fight them from afar if you can. If they reach you, you are already finished. But the fear went deeper than stories. Whole fleets changed their patrol routes to avoid human space. Merchants refused to sell weapons to armies planning campaigns near Earth. Even bounty hunters, once fearless, now declined contracts involving humans, because no amount of credits was worth waking the shadows. Yet humans themselves said little. On Earth, The soldiers trained quietly. Ordinary recruits became extraordinary warriors, and the special forces remained hidden, only appearing when needed. To humanity it was duty, to the galaxy it was nightmare. Over the years, myths grew. Some claimed special forces could vanish into thin air. Others swore they could breathe in vacuum or walk through walls. The truth was simpler: discipline, patience, sacrifice. But myths were stronger than truth, and myths were what the galaxy believed. One legend told of a fleet of 10,000 ships moving toward a neutral zone. By the time they reached the border, the admiral found his navigation systems rewritten. A human voice whispered in his bridge, "Go home." And the fleet turned back, never firing a single shot. Another spoke of an alien warlord who boasted he feared no human. That very night, he awoke in his bed to find a single human knife beside his pillow. No guard saw anyone enter. No alarm was triggered. The warlord fled his own palace, never to return. The galaxy began to live not under human rule, but under human shadow. No empire dared to cross the line because in every shadow, in every silence, they imagined human eyes watching, waiting. Back in the council chamber, an old saying emerged. If you fear their fleets, fight them in the eye. Stars, if you fear their armies, fight them from the skies, but if you fear their shadows, you have already lost. Generations passed, and still the legends grew. Children of alien worlds whispered stories of the night ghosts. Soldiers carried charms against human shadows, and rulers prayed to gods that humans never turned their gaze toward them. The truth remained the same. The galaxy had once feared humanity's regular soldiers. They had then trembled before the special forces. And now, in silence, they understood the greatest truth of all. The shadows did not need to be seen to rule. They only needed to be believed. And so across the stars, one legend burned brighter than all others. It was not spoken in anger, nor in praise, but in fear. Regular humans broke our armies, special forces broke our empires, but their silence broke the galaxy itself.